All right. Good morning. I'm still setting up my chart here. First thing to do is I normally add on the overnight highs and lows. So I'll put them on here. So there we go. And the overnight high and low gives you this band to kind of play between. It gives you support and resistance for the day. A lot of the times the market will rush to one side or the other and then find support or resistance and then reverse. So these are kind of potential reversal points. So it's always nice to kind of have some context during the day. What else? So yesterday was trading range day. Just like the day before, where we had this late breakout, reverse down, just like that day, I was not surprised that we had something similar happen where we were trying to break out up here and then ended up reversing back at the end of the day because it's a trading range day. The odds that yesterday was a trading range day were increased by the prior day being a trading range day. And we opened up within that range. So open up within the range, then we get trading range price action. It starts to become pretty clear by here when you get this second leg trap, this failed breakout of the low of the day, then reverses up. So you're getting these big moves that are attempting to go up here, but reverses down. It's trying to break out lower, reverses back up. And for anyone watching this stream yesterday, I was talking pretty early how that bar might end up inside of the prior day's bar, which it did. So yesterday was an inside day. It was inside the prior day. So, you never know what the day is going to be, but when you go in with an understanding of what the market's been doing, and you can kind of give some good, reasonable predictions, then that gives you an advantage. We had a reasonable prediction that day would stay in between yesterday's range. So then if you know that, then you want to be doing less like selling down here and less buying up here and more of doing the opposite. Let me pull the chat up. We'll talk about there was some news overnight as well. Well, not like major news, but just it was an 8:15 ADP news. So let me pull that up. Pull up the overnight hours. So it was so this was our news. 8:15. There was a non-farm employment change. So let's see if that really had any impact on the market. 8:15. So right around here is like this was this big bear bar. So not really. I can see the volatility. I mean the volume picked up around there because this is the tick chart and we got more bars after that. But so the volume picked up, but realistically no. Those are all those like 8:30 or 10 a.m. Those news pieces are not really significant for the market. It just provides a little bit of volatility for a few minutes, and then that's it. Unless there's really a major difference from what they were predicting. There we go. So the market's going to open up pretty close. You can see the current price here. Market's going to open up pretty close to where we closed, and with the past 2 days being trading range days, and with today opening right at the yesterday's close, probably that increases the chances that today will be a trading range. If the market really should be a different price, and if there was something that justified a different price, the market would open up somewhere else. And in fact, so in fact, that opened at the exact my screen kind of froze here, but it opened up at the exact tick. So that's interesting. I don't know why my screen froze. Let me play around with this. Yeah, just my one monitor is off, so I'm trying to troubleshoot that. I'm still drawing it and stuff. I don't know. All right, looks like we're good now. So it must be something with Ninja Trader. It's not working on this screen. Yeah, Ninja Trader's giving me some issues. We can watch it on TradingView. So like I was saying, here's the E-mini daily, and been in a bull trend for, I mean, since April, really since the tariff lows down here. Really consistent bull trend. No really successful attempts to get below the moving average. Just a few brief tails. So, like I was saying with yesterday, I was thinking yesterday would probably end up inside Monday's range. So here's Monday's range, and yesterday ended up inside of that. So, when you can start to identify things like that early in the day, then that gives you an advantage for the rest of the day. I'm thinking we'll probably just go sideways for the rest of this week and probably next week. Outside of any big news events, we're away from the moving average. We're starting to get these a more sideways market, so we'll probably continue to go sideways, and this moving average will creep up and catch up to the actual price. So what I was wanting to say before the Ninja Trader went out was this is actually a pretty special occurrence. So today our opening price opened at the exact closing price. So that's pretty rare. I mean, not even 1 in 100 days does that happen. I mean, that might happen like once a year. I've only actually seen one other occurrence of that happening that I've noticed is where the market opens right at the yesterday's close. So what that means is like this is the fair price, and if I scroll out to include the last couple of days, here's yesterday and the day before, like the fair price right now is somewhere in here. So that's what causes a trading range. These attempts to go higher or attempts to go lower, they fail because if they're selling down here, there's not. You run out of sellers. They're not willing to sell down here. The buyers overwhelm the sellers. And like up here, there's not enough buyers to continue to get it go up. There more people are taking profits up here instead of buying more. If we had overnight, we had the whole night for the market to go to find some other better price, and it couldn't. So like right around here is the best price. So we're going to continue to be in a trading range until we're not. So you got to be skeptical of these breakouts. Be skeptical of them until something else happens. Oh, like you've gotten the last couple of days, we're probably today going to get a lot of this kind of stuff where you'll have a big bear bar, but then it doesn't have good follow through. It immediately reverses. then that bar immediately reverses, and you kind of keep doing that up and down. So today we've gotten this big bear bar. It's immediately been bought. So in fact, reversing any bar is not that bad of an idea. If either you keep a tight stop, or you use a wide stop and trade small. So, like, looking at this bull bar, strong bull bar, you either sell the close of it, use a tight stop, like use like a 3-point stop, and then you try to go for 10 points, and you exit down here. Or, let's say, this is another example. Let's say you see 3 bars up. It's a strong move. You'll probably get a little bit more up, but also we're in a trading range, so these strong moves reverse. So let's say you sell the close of that bar, and let's say you sell the close of this second bar. 2 bars up, you sell the close of that. Let's say your other option is to use a wide stop, so you put it somewhere way up here and trade small, so that your total risk is no more than your normal trade. And then that leaves you room to be able to allow this to happen, or allow this to happen. And then later on, the market reverses back. Like over here, it comes all the way even. The breakout fails, then it comes all the way back and goes back to your original price. So that's what trading ranges do. I'm going to try to pull up an Ninja Trader again. Let's look at an hourly chart. Let's see how it looks on the hourly. So just like on the daily, the hourly, it's gotten below the moving average, but it really hasn't made any really strong attempts to stay below the moving average. I mean, the best was here. Spent actually maybe a few days below it here, but every sell-off during this was bought pretty quickly. So we had a bearish hour here, and the next hour was sideways, bearish hour, and then basically a day of buying, big gap down, and then it was bought. Big bear bar that was bought. So when you're seeing that, then it tends to continue to happen. So looking at this, after we've already been in a bull trend, now we're starting to get a little bit more trading range price action. Probably any first sell-off will be bought. Okay, Ninja Trader's kind of working. So tomorrow there's some news events. These are the ones that aren't really too important, like the 8:30 and the 10. So does tomorrow. Don't be taking a trade at 10, and then that's it for the week. So no really major news events scheduled. Let's check out some individual stocks. So Apple's up some. It's interesting. So they say Apple's up because an analyst upgraded it from a hold to a hold from underperform. I mean, it would really surprise me if just if one analyst could have that much weight. I mean, when if Warren Buffett says it, then that matters. But I'm not. I mean, I'm not sure how much I buy it that an analyst saying they like Apple more now justifies a 2% increase in Apple's price. One thing I've been seeing, a lot of stocks are kind of having the same pattern. Look, so here's Apple. Here's the so I mean apparently the this is the increase they've gotten after that what the analyst said. So a pattern that's in a lot of stocks right now is this. So this is something I call an S move pattern. So an S move kind of looks like an S if you use your imagination. It has an initial move up, so here's the spike, and that turns into a channel. So we have this channel through here, this diagonal movement, weaker than the initial breakout diagonal, so spike and channel, and then your next spike up is about an equidistant move. So here's your spike up, then channel, and then a prediction for where the price may go after that, after a breakout of the channel, is basically you measure it from the low point of that channel and move that up. So once you start to see a breakout of the channel, then you look for where the low of that breakout was, which is here, and then equidistant move is about up here. Uh, I mean, as we look at the E-mini, on the daily chart, we're in that as well. So spike, channel, and then we're kind of getting that bullish breakout of the channel. So it would make sense that a lot of stocks are seeing this pattern as well. I mean, it's kind of a, I mean, for bulls, for people that are bullish over the next month, it might be a bit of a concern because this shows that they have a little bit more up. Well, I mean, in this case for Netflix, a little bit more up would be $150. So I mean, that's actually quite a lot. But once it gets up to this price, I think a lot of stocks will start to pause. And I mean, this might be what we're already seeing. So I'll pull up the E-mini again here. So here's the initial spike, channel through here, and then the low from the breakout is there. So we actually still have quite a bit more room left. But so I don't know, maybe looking at like a month, we might see some sellers start to come in around a month. It might not really be people actually entering short positions, but it's more people just taking profits. They bought down here, and then now we've had this nice channel, and now we're getting this bullish breakout of it. So people down here, they're looking to, they see this last strong move as kind of a gift, and they're going to take profits there. So a lot of individual stocks are seeing that pattern. Nvidia, right? We can see that same look to it. I mean, I guess the good thing is that if this is the case, then there is quite a bit more room up for a lot of these stocks. So maybe the thing to say would be looking out a month. And if we do get up here, then that might be where I would consider the market to be a bit overbought. I do think, I mean, when I look at the charts, and then this is something that comes up pretty often, and so I do look at it as a place to take profits. So here's the channel. As we look at these individual stocks, they're all going to present this in a little bit different way. So for Nvidia, it might be something like this. And it's not going to be. Sometimes it is pretty close to perfect, but shouldn't really expect it to be perfect. Really, it's like somewhere in this general area is where you start to see weakness. And imagine, let's say the market does follow this trend line up. Well, if it does, it's going to outpace the moving average, and it's going to end up far above the moving average after we've already seen many weeks of buying. So it would be, starting to get a little bit overbought, which would attract some profit takers. I don't remember when it was. I was watching a kind of like a podcast. They were talking about Palantir. Pull up the weekly chart. They're talking about Palantir. It was three guys. One guy was bullish on Palantir, and he said he had 100% of his net worth in Palantir. And it was around $12 or so, somewhere right in here. And so he was saying he was 100% bullish. Oh, I mean, he was 100% in on Palantir. Basically all of his money was tied up in Palantir. And the two co-hosts were recommending against it, even if he did believe so strongly in it. And yeah, I mean, having 100% of your net worth that's quite a commitment. But ultimately, I mean, when the discussion is like, how do I get rich? You're not going to get rich putting your money in the S&P and getting a 7% return on average every year. Maybe yeah, if you wait 100 years, yeah, you will. But the way people get rich is making like a really big bet and being very right on that. And so he was so confident. I assume he held during this pullback here. And then if he continued to hold, then you look 3 years later and he's 13x his money. So there's different ways to get rich, and like for someone that wants to invest and buy and hold, and then to really get rich, I mean that's kind of that's what you need to try to be doing, really. There's the phrase, put your eggs, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Yeah, I mean, I like the quote better, is put your eggs in one basket and watch it very closely. If you look at any of the billionaires in today's world, like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, right? I mean, they are synonymous with one thing. They had one company that grew to huge size. That's what made them rich. They didn't they didn't have 1,000 side hustles and trying to do all these little things. They had one thing that became great. And so I think it's the same with investing. Not saying there's anything wrong with buying the S&P 500. I think that's what's better for most people. But for the people that want to get rich in it, I mean, then this is what you need to try to do. So I would just bring that up because that always kind of stuck in my mind when I watched that podcast. And then I've always been curious about Palantir after that, and just kind of, imagining what he did. Did he sell during this pullback through here, and then, or was he able to hold? Or if he held, did he then sell out at 20? So he doubled his money, but then he missed out on, what would actually make him rich. But I think the lesson from that story is, find something that you really understand and you really believe in. And then if you understand it that strongly and you think, yeah, it's going to be there in 20 years and it's going to be a great company, then, well, if you understand it that way, then I think that's what you should be looking to invest in. Here's Amazon. Amazon's my biggest holding. Amazon's not going anywhere. If the goal is to find companies that are going to be here in 20 years and are going to continue to be able to hold their economic moat and can continue to make new things and keep consumers buying from them. I mean, Amazon has huge moats, and they're not going away anytime soon. They're going to continue to get better. Last year, around November, I was thinking Amazon would be 300 by this year, November. So I guess I have 4 more months for it to get up to 300, which it could. I mean, if it breaks out above the high here, and just drawing a simple measure move on it. I'm not used to this trading view yet. I'm still trying to figure out how to draw simple stuff. There we go. So, I mean, pretty simple. We have a trading range here, break out of the trading range, measure move up, puts us above 300. So it's not unreasonable to think we can get to 300 and by the end of the year, if the market goes that way. I mean, if we stay bullish throughout the year, then I think that'd be reasonable. I mean, a lot of the stocks are going to have kind of the same pattern, like the big tech companies. Meta, measure move up off of that, which are kind of testing that breakout point now. So we were in a strong bull trend, or at least a consistent bull trend, deep pullback. It's been bought so far. If we can get above it, then measure move puts us at 1,000, which is nice confluence of the big round number up here. Meta's been very strong. I remember, I think it was this day back in 2022 when it had like the largest market cap drop in history out of any stock. I don't know. I think it might have been 150 billion in one day. I think Nvidia has surpassed that, but up to this point, that was the largest market cap drop in history. And it followed by getting halved, or going to a third of the price. So Meta got down to 85, and then now it's on pace to get to 850. So even with a company as large as Facebook, someone could have 10x their money in 3 years. Well, slow start on the E-mini, but this is what we expected, right? I mean, this is the fair price. As any moves far away are probably going to be failing. I was just looking at the category that this stream is under, and apparently it was under gaming. So I changed it to education. I don't know why I put under gaming. Here's a Bitcoin chart. Let me add in the watermark. So Bitcoin, the pattern here, it's a bull flag. So we had a bull trend up, several pullbacks that really didn't get very far. So this is the flag. And now we're looking for there to be a breakout up for Bitcoin. So this is kind of a pretty critical moment. Can Bitcoin break out above this? And if so, there's a good chance we can see higher prices. Also, it's nice to see it finding a double bottom at this prior support and resistance. We can see this level mattered all the way through here. And these are important, and they continue. When you see this kind of stuff, it continues to impact the market. So if it went back down again, it'd probably find some sort of support at that level again, around 102, 100,000. So definitely on watch for what Bitcoin's going to do here. Yeah, let's pull it up. So this is the this is the E-mini futures. So I think this should be, you're wanting to see the US 500. I mean, this is the Bitcoin future. This is the E-mini futures. This is tracking the same thing. If you want to see the index itself, I can pull up the index, but this is going to be this tracks it the same. For the daily chart for the E-mini, I'm not sure when you had started watching, but this is earlier I was kind of going through the analysis on the daily chart for the S&P 500 E-mini. So this is what I look at most. So let's pull up the 5 minute. Am I sensing the down momentum? So which time frame are you thinking of? Are you thinking of like what's happening currently, or are you thinking more on the daily chart? Maxima. Maybe that's how I say it, or like it's like Maxima. All right, I'm going to put the chat box there. So if that interferes with if I forget it and I'm talking about something that's in this corner, then just let me know. All time frames. Let me zoom out. So here's the daily chart. I've been pretty bullish for a bit on it now. The bearish case that I would make is, I was actually kind of talking about this just before I think you got in the room here. The bearish case is this S move. So an S move, it's when you have a breakout. So I would consider this move through here. It's a fairly strong bull move up. So I would consider this like the spike. So it spikes up here. Then you end up in a trading range. You end up in a bull channel. Okay, so here's our bull channel. Different ways to draw it. I think for what I'm trying to show here, I'm going to draw it like this. So this is really more like what I'm looking at here. So we've had a spike that turns into a bull channel, and then from there, once we get a breakout of that channel, you draw an equidistant move of the initial breakout here, and that puts you up here. So I mean, I'm still bullish, but once we get up to this point, I think this will attract profit takers. And this kind of pattern is something I see a lot. So would I get short? Let's say we in a couple weeks, we continue up when we get up here. Would I get short to that price? Generally not, but I would, if I was long, I would be exiting before that. So that's how I kind of look at that. You think the drop will happen fast? I mean, yeah. Normally that is how drops. Normally the market kind of when the market's going up, it does like this, kind of slowly working its way up. And then when the market drops, it drops like this and this and like this. Like it happens with much greater volatility. So I mean, I'm bullish on the E-mini until, I mean, with the U.S. indices, I'm bullish until something else happens. But with when we look at the daily chart, we are starting to get a bit far from the moving average, but it doesn't mean we're going to go down here. Like I was talking in yesterday's stream, I thought yesterday was going to be within the prior day's range. So here's Monday. And then on Tuesday, I thought Tuesday would be inside of yesterday's range, and it was. And I think we're going to continue to go sideways without any major move until this moving average catches up to the price. And then from there, I would be leaning towards being bullish. But I would want to see this moving average pick up first. JSP, good morning. Yeah, I was kind of, I thought you'd be in here earlier. I was kind of like, oh, where's JSP at? All right, I think we're back on my computer crashed. I've been having issues this morning. So sorry about that crashing. I'm kind of getting everything set up again. Let me know. Send me a message in the chat if you guys can see everything. All right. Yeah, cool. We're back. Yeah, I don't know. My computer's just been having issues. It's a good computer too. So I don't know, it's so buggy right now. You might be able to see like its computer's lagging. But kind of makes me not want to do a trade because I'm not going to trade if my computer is going to crash. I can talk about stuff, but I'm not going to. I can do like, I'm just going to put on the simulator for right now, just in case I want to click a button. So on the 5-minute chart here, these are looking like reasonable buys. So if this bar that we're on closes bullish, I think that'd be an okay buy. And how I would do that is buying above the bar, then putting a stop below the bar, and go for 5 points. Try to get out up here. If it has a good close. So the way I see this, first bar is a bear bar. Here's the low of the day. Moves up, creates a double bottom with this bear bar, then this bear bar. Now we're getting above the moving average with the bull bars. I want a good bull close though. I want it to close at least above its midpoint. All right, so that's not really good enough for a scalp. So if I'm going to scalp, so I'm on the sim, so I'm just going to place the order just to demonstrate
submitted,
like the bracket order. So if it goes above this bar, let's see, 5 points would be up here and risking down here. So it's kind of already a swing trade in a way because your reward's greater than your risk. Yeah, I have two screens, 2 monitors, and yeah, it's a big help with streaming, but I don't know if it's causing issues with my computer. It shouldn't. I mean, the computer, it's a good computer. It's kind of annoying that I'm having these issues. I don't have anything on my running. I mean, I just have NinjaTrader running and the stream. I mean, I was recording on my laptop when I was in Peru when it was like just fine. But here I'm at home with a $1,000 computer and it's not doing it. So you like the at least like a pullback. Yeah, it kind of depends on how the market's looking for me. I mean, like the context is more important. So the signal bar is definitely the less important like component there. I mean, if the market's going up, then you should be buying. If it's going sideways like it's been, basically try to fade every strong move. So like a couple big bull bars higher up, try to sell that or sell up here.
Order canceled.
Yeah, I don't even really want to buy there even on the sim. I think with it going below this bar first, why were the bulls not strong enough to keep it above the low of the bar? Yeah, a couple like key things that I've been uh, talking about with like the context. And once again, I mean, sorry, the like my charts stuff just aren't loading right. Um, like a really important thing with the context is like we've been going sideways, and like Monday was a sideways day. Then when the next day opens, you're opening within that range. Right? If it was justified that the price was somewhere else, like the price would be somewhere else, but it's not. It's opening within that range. It tries to go higher, runs out of buyers. It tries to go lower, runs out of sellers, and you end up with a trading range day. Today, we might do something else, but I would continue to treat it like it's going to be a trading range day. I think the market does want to test, since yesterday did end up as a bull bar, even though we're going sideways, what this could be, and I think this is my premise currently, the way it's shaping up. I think the market's wanting to break out above at least yesterday's high, because yesterday was a bull. It was a bull bar. I mean, it was a trading range day, but it closed above the open. So when you're in a bull trend, traders look to try to buy above those bull bars, and that's going to continue to happen here. So I would think they at least want to see what's above there. Are there buyers or sellers above that? So let's see, the high of, yeah, I mean, so the high of, I'll mark it in, the high of yesterday right there. We might be able to test on this move up. And then from there, you just kind of, like, I mean, you see, is it looking like it's going to continue strongly going up, or is it, are we getting more of this stuff? Where, so let's say through here, these are, like, this is the support and resistance we're looking at. So this high, then this high, this high. Once we break above that, do we get every bull bar has a bear bar as a follow through, like here, and then here, or does it, or is it able to find double bottoms and continue working up? So I can see that buy would have worked for a scalp. So if we bought at 53, got it out at 58. I didn't like it. Like, I mean, I liked it, but I needed more ticks on this candlestick. I needed like a couple more ticks, and then I probably would have bought above that. But for me, it was too much of a tail on the top. even if it was, I probably wouldn't have taken it because, like I said, I mean, my computer was really acting up a lot, like right at that moment. So I also didn't like how it went below the bar first. Went down here first, and then because the reason I don't like that, and it's okay sometimes, but if it's going below the bar and then it goes above the bar, that's kind of trading range price action, right? Like if it's making moves down and moves up, that's kind of like what's going on over here. You know, it went down first, and then it went up first. That went down, then it went up. So I'd rather not be buying above like effectively what's the trading range, even if it's a small one. So we actually got pretty close to yesterday's high on that move up. Not sure if you guys had watched the last few daily trade reviews, but one thing that I've been talking about was a lot of the days that have had a bear bar at the start have been bought. So that bear bar, like first bear bar of the day, and it's been bought. So if someone bought the close of that bear bar, I don't know, use a stop, use like a 3 point stop, and then went for 10 points, they would have done very well this summer so far. Okay, they would have lost there. So, lost 3 points. We haven't had, this was really more for like May and early June that I was seeing this, but I think it's going to, so here's an example that looks a lot like today. Okay, bear bar. If someone bought the close, risked 3 points, and then went for 10 points, they would have been out right there. So when the range is bigger like this, they could probably risk 5 points, then try to go for like 20 points. Another example that looks a lot like the two examples I just looked at, bear bar. Someone bought the close, they go for 10 points, they go for 20 points. So there's little things. I think what's important is to pay attention to the market and look for like little patterns, and once you start to see what the market's doing, then it usually continues to do that for a few days, few weeks. It's like we were looking at those examples where the bear bar has been bought early. So what's a sign that might lead you to be able to include that as one of your trades? If you say, okay, if we have a big bear bar at the start, I could do a swing trade from that and buy it. Well, one thing that might be a sign is that you're in a bull trend where we're hanging out above the moving average, where we just kind of continue to drift up. So when you start to see that next time, I don't know, maybe, whenever, like maybe later this year, or maybe you're looking at an individual stock, or maybe next year, next time we get into, this consistent bull channel like this, then consider looking at an early low of the day. Like, so you get, so here's the daily chart. When the market's looking something like this, then pay attention to like the early bar of the day, and you might catch an early low of the day. So you might be able to add that to your tool belt of trades, buying the close of an early bear bar and then trying to go for a swing trade. So once again, here's the daily chart. This is potentially a final flag. So whenever I see an inside bar kind of late in a trend, it's potentially the next move that goes up might be the last leg up. So that might be what happens here. Like I said, I wouldn't start selling here. I'd want to see more days and see how it reacts up here. But what this week might end up as is we might go above this today, and then have a couple more days up, but then looking at like next week, then that's what reverses down. So I mean that could be the case, but we need to see how today ends up. Is today able to break out? Is like if we get above that previous high, does it end as a bull day, or does it come back in and close down here as a trading range day? The potential buys so far today, if someone is feeling it, they could buy. If they wanted to like trade small and do a swing trading to buy the close that first bear bar, and the other trade was buying somewhere in here. So only been buy trades today. I have this marked over here. Trading ranges are like opposite day. Now for me, when I see bullish strength, I avoid selling, and that's because trends tend to continue to do what they're doing. So if the market is trending up, we're getting strong bull bars consecutive. We have potentially going to have 7 consecutive bull bars here. Market tends to continue doing that. However, trading ranges are like opposite day. So if we look at all of the prior strong moves up that we've had lately, they have ended up failing and reversing back into the trading range. So no, I'm not going to be buying up here now. We're high in the trading range. We're really more in the sell zone. So either I'm looking to try to get short up here near the top of the trading range, or I'm doing nothing. This is the 2000 tick chart. What I like to do on the tick chart, you can get very granular and see the small details of what price is actually doing. And when I see these support and resistance levels, I like to draw them in. And I kind of let the higher time frame, if I'm going to trade on the tick chart, I will let the higher time frame guide me. So let's say I was getting some sort of short up here. I thought, okay, maybe we're getting too far up, and maybe I could try to take a swing trade to go short. Well, for example, if I was bearish, I'm not really bearish yet, but if I was bearish and I saw this, I might say, well, I'll wait for the market to break below this and then create like a double bottom or a double top here, and then I'll look to get short and try to get a swing trade out of it. So that's how I use the lower time frame in confluence with the higher time frame, and to try to find trades off it. So we've gone above yesterday's high, and now we kind of wait for more information. Basically, does it break out and find support at that prior high, or does it fail to break out and this ends up as resistance? And so this is what it looks like on the daily chart. To me, it looks like this will end up as a final flag. So we're way above the moving average. So we have above. So we're above the average price, but we're not getting above average buying. All right, we have a big tail on the top of this bar. Then we have a bearish doji day, a follow through day that's inside the prior day. So this is not above average buying. So I do think this will probably end up as a final flag. We'll probably have a move up, maybe like to 6,300, and then so either. I think ultimately we're going sideways here. I think we go up some and reverses back, or we go down and it reverses back up, and then this moving average will work up over the next couple of weeks. And really, I mean, whatever it does right here isn't too important in terms of like the daily chart, because like I said, whatever happens, I think we're going to be around here a week or two from now. But on the 5-minute chart, maybe we can find a double bottom above this, or maybe like a double tops here, and then it comes back down to the bottom of the trading range. It is interesting. The overnight high is actually way up here. So, I mean, overnight we went from here all the way up here, and then came all the way back down and opened at the exact price that we closed at. So that's just curious price action. So now we've had 8 bull bars in a row. Might consider it something like this. Here we had 5 bars in a row, and ultimately, like, the market reverses back down. But after 5 bars, even though it's near the top of the range, it usually gets a little bit more up. Kind of like here. Here's 4 bars. It is near the top of the range, but then pull back a little bit more up, and then reverses back. So I'm kind of trapped out of any trades. I mean, if someone was buying, like it was the 2 places I pointed out earlier, like buying down here, kind of taking a lower probability swing trade, or buying here, although it really wasn't quite perfect. Would I be buying up here at the above yesterday's high, far from the moving average? No. Here's the oil daily chart. Looks like we're going to get a second leg down off of this. There's a spike down, sideways, and then at some point, maybe today, the bears would want to try to resume this selling. So they were making money selling. Here's a pullback, and then basically they're gonna try again. And if they're right, maybe they can get it down somewhere down here. And if they're wrong and it goes up, well, they might just take a small loss on it. But this is kind of around the time when they would try to resume the selling. So like if today ends up as a bear day like this or better, I think it'd be okay to try to sell below that. Probably with like a swing trade up. So something like this. Sell below the bear bar. You just need to be right 33% of the time, and it's at least a break-even trade. So you can tell both sides are fighting. The bulls, they're trying to get this breakout above yesterday's high. The bears don't want it. Right? They're trying to continue at least the trading range. So I mean, pretty strong rejection off of that. I think the bears are. It's pretty loudly saying that they're not going to accept that buying above there. So I'll just look at the. So really, I think this is. I mean, we're watching the 5-minute, but I think really what's going on here. This is focused on the daily chart. It's focused on the highs of the daily chart. This is a bull bar and a bull trend, but we're far from the moving average. So I think like what the market did here, it pushed it up to get there. Both sides are curious. Are there buyers or sellers above there? So we push it up, and then see are bulls going to hop in and start buying there, or are the bears able to stop that? And so far they've stopped that. So this increases the chance that today will be a trading range day. There's a small chance of what this is going to end up doing. So I think it's going to be a trading range day, but there's a small chance what this is. Sometimes when you see breakouts, let me first just talk about what you kind of want to expect out of a breakout. So let's just look at these highs through here. So when you're looking to try to buy somewhere in here we have a double top. It breaks out above the double top, and then it comes back, and you want to see it retest that level. Okay, and so then there your buy would be there. So we broke out above, retested it. Bears couldn't get back below that, and the bulls win. So that's normally what you want to look for. Possibly what this is it's that same thing, but the breakout pulls back just below it. So this is the breakout test. It's just that it's happening below the level. So breakout, and yes, it pulled back here, but then this, even though it's lower, it still acts out as that breakout test. So even though the bear bar didn't stop here, it could still end up acting as the test. So I think strong chance. I think mostly it's going to be a trading range. That's what I assign the highest probability to that. But that's what this could end up being. so far, every bear bar has been bought today. Bought, bought, and now this bar has been bought. Every bear bar has, at least pretty quickly been able to get a scalp out of it. And that is one nice thing when you know you're in a bull trend, like when you have the higher time frame that looks like this. Yeah, that increases the odds that a bearish move will be bought. So when you're so when you start to see the market getting stuck above the moving average, you'll start to see a lot of like these little pullbacks, but those pullbacks don't last very long. So that really highlights the importance of understanding like the higher time frame, like the context, really understanding just the market you're in, and let that guide your trades. I'm going to be right back, just a couple minutes. Today hasn't really had so much trading range price action so far. It's really been more bullish. It's just that we're in the context of larger trading range. So it's almost 11. So we're getting close. Well, we're in the transition period between the open and the middle of the day. And when you get around those transition periods, you start to see the market do something different. So if the market has been bullish, we might see it start to do something different here. Kind of like yesterday, market moved up on the open up until about 10:25, and then it reversed down. So it was bullish, and then it reversed down. Or on Monday, it was bearish. It was working its way down until about 11:20, and then it then it kind of worked its way up for throughout the middle of the day. Kind of actually was in a bull channel there. So we're kind of in that transition period where we might see the market start to do something else. So if it fails to break out up here, then it's probably coming back down to test the open. And something that might strengthen the probability of that is you can see how the open was an important price. So market went down, and then it pulled back, and it found resistance at the open. Then once it broke above it, it found support at the open. When you see the open being important multiple times, it tends to continue to be important for the rest of the day. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a line on here to mark the open, and then we'll monitor that later. So blue line is the high of yesterday, white line is the open of the day. So if we fail to break out up here, then we're coming back down here basically. So far we are failing. I don't think it's over yet for the bulls, but we've double topped here. I think they can still get a double bottom and then end up higher. So I don't want to rule out the bulls, but so far, they have failed to break out above. They've tried twice. So let's say I was looking for shorts here, which I don't think is completely unreasonable. It might be a little early still, but so if I was looking for shorts, I want to try to play off of so I'm on the 2000 tick. I want to play off of my support and resistances that I have on here. And we had drawn this on here earlier, and this is what I want to continue to watch. Maybe this one, or we have this one. And I'm for sure that one of these levels, if the market moves down here, one of these levels will act as support and resistance again. So let's say it comes down here and breaks below this one. It'll probably come back up and test it before going down or going back up. So these horizontal support and resistance on the tick chart are really reliable in that way. Like, so if the market comes back towards it usually kind of holds price. Like these lines do matter. So if I was reading this as a failed breakout of this level, and I was wanting to get short, but I don't really have short entries on here, and looking at the tick chart is a good way to find those entries. You want to look for a short below the moving average, preferably after double topping below like this or this. Here's a little piece of news. U.S. has a trade deal with Vietnam. So his True Social post, he made a trade deal with Vietnam. Vietnam will pay 20% tariff. In return, Vietnam will do something they have never done before, give the United States total access to their markets for trade. So they will open their market to the United States. So the U.S. will have zero tariff. We will be able to sell to Vietnam with zero tariff. So, I mean, he sent that out at 10:44 a.m., which was right here. I'm not sure how much of this buying was due to that. I think most of the trade war type news is most of it's going to be done now. Like, when if this was 2 months ago and we got this, the market would have been way up a lot more than this. So I think trade war news, like tariff news now, is kind of more of the minor deals. I think most of the major deals are kind of like worked through. The stuff that's really going to impact the market, that's kind of already worked through. So it's still a little bit early to say. This might be the breakout pullback that I was talking about. So normally you want to see the breakout be like above this high. I'll draw it on here. You want to see the breakout be above here. So it goes up and then it double bottoms at that level before heading higher. But there are some cases, which might be happening here, where you break out a little bit of it, but then your pullback happens below it. And so we get 2 attempts lower here. So that might be what's happening here. If this does end up like this, it'd be okay to take a swing buy above this. Like, let's say, just say it closed like this or better, not too large. That'd be okay for a swing buy above that. Because, like I said, this effectively is a breakout pullback. It breaks out. It's tried to go lower twice, couldn't. So if it goes above this bull bar, I wouldn't scalp because basically the odds aren't high enough. But taking a swing buy like that would put you up to the overnight high. So I mean, that'd be in line. I think the bar is a good size now. If it gets too large, if it gets like 7 or 8 points, like up here, I think that'd be too large to try to buy above. So we're starting to get into the last minute of the bar. And I mean, this is kind of a critical bar because if it ends as a strong bull bar, a lot of bears would exit above it, which could push the market up. But if it's weak, then that's not gonna happen to the same degree. So the bears try to sell to push it down, and the bulls try to buy it up. Because if the bulls, if they're able to close on its high, they'll probably get more higher prices, and the bears don't want that. So they both kind of fight. So that last minute of the bar is really the most critical. You can see a lot of stuff happen in the last minute. So, I would not buy above it like it is now with this big tail on top. I would want to see, close above its mid price at least. I'd really want to see it close closer, basically almost at its high price. So it is above its midpoint. It's close. I think it would be okay for definitely like not a scalp. It's not high enough probability for a scalp. For someone swing trading, not a bad, not the worst swing trade. All right, so they've gone above it. I would expect the follow through to be fairly quick because I think the bears that sold here or here would be exiting above this bull bar. So if it's going to go higher here, I think it would happen pretty soon in the bar. This might be one of those examples of if the market's not doing what you want it to, then exit quickly. That's how some people trade. They'll say, I think it's going to do this, and like they'll buy. And, within 10 seconds, if it's not doing what they want it to do, then they'll just exit. So like in this, if they buy above here, they're expecting it to pretty quickly take off and go up. And if it doesn't, within the first 10 seconds, they might deem that that something's wrong. And then, so they avoid something bad like happening like this where it starts to go down. So they can make that decision in the first 10 seconds. So, I'd be more likely to just leave my stop initially, like either below the bar or down here or whatever I do. But that's what some people, that's how they trade. They say this will probably happen, and if it doesn't happen quickly, then I'll exit. So it's not a bad way to do it. I mean, you end up with a pretty small loss. I think both sides are kind of trying to trap each other here. Maybe an idea if this closes the bear bar, sell below it for a swing trade, try to get back down to the open. I was saying if we fail up here, then we're coming back to the open. I don't have much of a question of that. If we can't get above here, I don't think the day is going to end around here. I think we'll come back and at least test back to the open and then go from there. So the two outcomes, either this is a successful breakout or it comes back and tests the open. So when you think about structuring a trade, if you wanted to buy, if you're thinking of that way, like either it's going to break out or it's going to come back and test this, there's different ways you can structure the trade. Like so if you're betting on this breakout to work, where would you determine that it fails? feel like putting a stop here, putting a stop below this bar. I think that's too close because you're really in the middle of the move. I think it could come down here first, stop you out, and then go higher. So if you were to buy, I mean, it really stop probably would have to be down here to give yourself enough room to be able to get out of that. So probably doesn't make too much sense to try to buy in that case, because your stop, I mean, you're not able to put it somewhere like here, because I think it could go below this and then continue to go up. Does anyone in the chat have any individual stocks they'd like us to look at? We can pull up that chart and analyze it. I think we're gonna do this sideways thing here for a little bit. I can get us started. Here's Coinbase, and pull up the daily chart of Coinbase. Yeah, Coinbase has done very well in a couple months, three months, from 145 up to almost 400. I used to own Coinbase back in what was it? I mean, maybe 2024, somewhere like around here. My concern with Coinbase was that I thought there'd be too much price competition. Like, people are buying and selling crypto. Coinbase makes money through that fee, and well, I mean, other platforms can offer that as well, and then you just end up with this price competition, and I was concerned they wouldn't really be able to profit, because there would be, their price would have to be so, their margin would be so slim. I used to own PayPal as well. That's also why I got out of PayPal. Let me pull PayPal up. Right, because I mean, there's so many companies that can like transfer money, and so most of the time when you're actually sending money nowadays, like there is no fee. Maybe you have to wait for the money, but like there's no fee to transfer it. So it's like, I'd rather not be buying a company that other people can do the same thing, and then you just end up with this competition that lowers the prices. The time to buy was definitely, not sure if you guys had seen the video. I made a video around pretty low in the tariff war. I made it somewhere right around here, where I was saying when the volatility, when the VIX got above 35, I would buy. And I did, and you can go back around March, or late March or early April, and you can see the trade I took on buying. I bought with the E-mini or the E-micro, and profited after the VIX got above 35. Historically, when the VIX gets above 35, that means the market's gotten very oversold or too oversold. Let me pull up the VIX. So here was the VIX got above 35, and you can go back and check your charts anytime you see that. Most of the time, a couple weeks later, a few months later, the market is up quite strongly after the VIX gets above 35. And like we're going through looking at some of these individual stocks, and they've done quite well since that moment. But yeah, if you want to go back and look at a video during that time, I showed a trade that I did during that. So unless someone has an individual stock they want to look at, I'm just going to kind of go through here and look at different stocks and see if there's anything interesting. We were talking about UNH yesterday, United Health, and about how about after this, when you see a stock that's already been beaten up badly. So, here it is getting beaten up badly. And then there was news about the CEO that came out, and that causes even larger, another 30% down, 40% down. As long as that news did not affect the company ultimately. And you see this stuff so often. I mean, there's something that looks negative, but really when you read through the lines, it's not, doesn't actually hurt the company. But the stock price does end up lower, and there's buying opportunities. So bad news actually creates buying opportunities. All right, let's pull up MU. All right, you're saying MU is immune to tariffs and makes the best IC chips in the world. Also for the government. I have a friend that is actually a computer engineer, and he knows a lot more about CPUs, GPUs. So I kind of ask him sometimes about his thoughts on NVIDIA or AMD, these different chip companies. He actually owns AMD. That's his choice to own for the chip companies. So Micron, I'm looking at the chart. It's done quite well, like many of the other companies since the tariff wars started. Look at this. It's up. That was such a great buying opportunity, up from 60 up to, it doubled in 3 months. That's the opportunities that exist out here when you see a big dip in the market. If you buy RAM with Micron chips, you have zero worries. Okay. Yeah, I'll let you inform me, because the engineering side of the chips and computers is not my specialty. Let me go to the weekly chart on Micron. So it looks like this is a pretty strong move up. It's a tight leg. We'll probably get a little bit more up after that. We had this trading range through here. The market failed to break below it. Now we're reversing back up. So I think a lot of this move has also been from people that were shorting down here, had to exit their shorts. And now, especially when you start to see large bars like here. This 1 week, it went from 94 to 110. When you start to see that is a lot of people exiting their shorts. So it's not just people buying, but it's people that were short. They have to buy back. They have to get out of their position, so they have to buy back. And when you see these large bars, that's evidence of that. And the next level to look at is going to be the top of this range. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with, buying here and trying to hold for preferably longer, longer time span, like a few months or a year or more. So you say the rally started when the tariffs started. Let me go over to the daily chart. Do you mean when the tariffs were starting to come off? Like when we were kind of starting to get some positive news? Down here. When the tariffs hit, okay. I think when the tariffs, like, because kind of like all through here, this is like the news that we might be getting, the tariffs, and then the tariffs hit, but at the same time when they hit, there was also positive news coming out that they wouldn't really last. I mean, either way, I mean, great buying opportunities. Okay. Yeah, I know that's what um, Jensen Huang with Nvidia. He was wanting China to be open. He didn't want he wanted to be able to sell his chips to China, and I think Trump blocked that. So E-mini's still kind of fighting around here. I mean, we even have, so we're in a bigger trading range on the daily chart, and we're kind of finding ourselves more in this trading range here. To me, it looks like we're getting a triangle pattern. Probably won't have any strong moves for still a few more minutes, maybe like 30 minutes. We got to let this play out. I think there'll probably be a breakout down or up first, but then it's going to reverse back into this area. And yeah, I mean, the chip space is interesting. I mean, like the potential to train the AI and to have, if someone can gain that advantage, I mean, there's so much potential there. Like everyone wants the best chips when the governments don't want other people to have those chips. So not a bad spot for a swing buy above that. So this is like the breakout pullback I've been talking about. Here's yesterday's high. We've broken out of it a couple times, but the bears are failing to actually send the market back down. And after 3 attempts lower like that, would I buy for a scalp? No, because I don't think the odds are high enough. This is what a swing trade would look like. Buy above it, put your stop below, and you're trying to get it out somewhere around the overnight high up here. So like the decision on scalp versus swing, I think most comes down to probability. So do I go for 5 points here, or do I go for 10 points? Well, if I think my odds are pretty high, I'll go for 5 points. But if I think the trade still makes sense, but my odds just aren't that high, then that turns into a swing trade. Yeah, so many stocks have this same look. Just this really strong bullishness since the tariffs. Some of them might be getting a bit overextended. You can see this is SoFi got parabolic here. So it was bullish, and then it kind of got too bullish. Now we're starting here. Here they got the largest bar late in the trend, and that's a concern because it attracts profit takers. Someone that bought down here, and now it took them 2 months to go from here to here, and then in 1 week they went from here to here. They went the same distance in 1 week. Then they say, oh wow, that's a huge profit. Suddenly we're gonna take profits. Micron's flagship brands are Crucial and Lexar. So are those would those be like CPUs? And that's what, if someone's building a computer, and that's what they would use as their CPO, their CPU. Is that what am I thinking correctly there? Okay, RAM and flash memory. So when we were thinking about buying here, once again, I didn't think the odds were too high. if someone is buying here because of those lower odds, you're gonna lose this more than 60% of the time, 70% of the time. So when you do win, you need that higher profit to offset it. So if I was long, if I had bought here, I would go ahead and just exit below this bear bar. So save a couple ticks there. The market's it's getting squeezed here. I keep bringing up this triangle pattern, and like this isn't going to last for too much longer. There's going to be a spike in volatility here in a little bit, and we're going to exit this. We're probably going to break out one direction, retest it, and then continue on. I mentioned this earlier. Every bear bar today has been bought for a scalp. I mean, these first four here, and here were all bought immediately, and then through here, well, even they weren't bought immediately, but if you held for a little bit, you could have gotten your scalp on all these. Those are always interesting days when you look at it, and this is what we've been having. I mean, you get a strong bull bar, you can sell it and reverse it down, and you get the bear bar. You could buy it. If it doesn't go up immediately, you can hold on and maybe buy more a little bit lower. Bull bar, you can sell it. Bear bar, you can buy it, and you can just keep on. Trade small and just collect a lot of small wins throughout the day. What's tough with doing that where we're at is two things. One, we're getting pretty close to the all-time highs on the U.S. The S&P index has gone above the all-time high, but the futures were actually not above at the high yet. Either way, when we're getting up here, there's no ceiling. There's no prior price that would act as resistance that we can kind of latch onto and give context to. So it kind of makes these reversal type trades where, like, if I see a bull bar, I'm thinking about selling it. Well, if I sell it and the market keeps going up, it might not stop going up. There's no ceiling up here. So if we were maybe some more down here, where we're kind of more within, or somewhere in here, we're more within like a range, then we're kind of in no man's land up here right now. So it's more of a tight stop type of market. Well, if you had bought above that bar, you still would have been in the trade. At the same time, though, I mean, this triangle is valid, and so I think I'd rather avoid trying to buy like a bet on the first breakout of it, because so often these breakouts of the triangles reverse. So that was another reason why I'd rather be swing trading here if you are taking it, because being in that triangle lowers your probability. Looking at the tick chart. So I drew this line on here, earlier in the day. Now I can keep on extending it. So where I had it earlier was basically, I think I had kind of something like this. On the tick chart, these support and resistance really are pretty reliable. The market moved up, dropped, broke out, and then pulled back. And then once you see that pullback and then it goes back up, then you can say, yeah, that's an important, for whatever reason, that's an important level. And then, for potentially a few more hours, you can draw it on, and there you go. You've created context for yourself. You've created a level that you can try to identify trades off of. So like if I was wanting to get long, then I might look for some kind of failure to go below this level, and then try to buy. So maybe buying like there. So as an example of using the higher time frame and then dropping down to the tick chart to actually get your entry. All right, so bulls are trying to get their breakout above yesterday and break out of this triangle. The target, we have the high, overnight high. I think that's the first target. Even if it gets up here, I still think we're going to come back down here. Not only do triangles normally do that, but this is also a pretty critical level, this high of yesterday. So for both reasons, I think if we get up here, even if we do end up going higher, I think we would come up and then pull back before heading higher. So if you were on that swing trade, that's what it would look like for you right now. You would have been pretty spooked out by this bear bar, but I wouldn't exit at the close of that bar, because that's what I was saying. I would put my stop below the bear bar, not exiting at the close. Often when you get a bar like that, it won't actually go below the low. So then you kind of get lucky, and so you're able to stay in your trade. For anyone that wasn't in here earlier, my computer was like going off. My Ninja Trader wasn't working, so I'm kind of not really. It's working fine now, it looks like, but I'm kind of hesitant to. I don't want to be in a trade and then my computer, turns off. So we're gonna go till noon, so about 20 more minutes. So we'll watch this, and any other questions you guys have, let me know. We'll try to get that in the next 20 minutes. And for some that might have missed the Bitcoin analysis, Bitcoin's setting itself up potentially for a breakout up. It's starting to look like it's kind of breaking out of this bull flag. So fairly strong move up, pull back. Here's the flag, and then we might be breaking out above that. If today ends as a bull day on Bitcoin, I think it'd be okay to buy there and try to get a swing trade. Probably, so this is 2 times risk. I would probably try to go for even more than that. I mean, probably even up to like 130 if you were buying here. It's only the first breakout of that flag, so your odds aren't too high. So if you do want to buy it, then I think you need to. So So here's 4 times your risk. I mean, I think that looks good. So 4 times your risk, you'd have to win at least 20% of the time. I think if that bull bar closes like that, where it's at now, I think you have a greater than 20% chance of getting up here before you'd be stopped out below that. So maybe the odds are 25%. So 25% chance you get up here before being stopped out. But if you only need 20%, then that's a profitable trade. Now, there's still time in the day, so it actually has to close decently. But if it does, then that's so I'll pay attention to it. And if it does, then I'll buy a micro Bitcoin future, and we'll hold that up through there and see how that trade works out. I mean, I do own actual Bitcoin, but it's sometimes it's nice to just be able to trade the futures on it like this. So I'm going to keep an eye on how the Bitcoin turns out later. There's a lot of potential for like multi-day, multi-week swing trades. It doesn't all have to be trading a lower time frame. I mean, I don't know, choose any market here. I mean, there's a lot of here's oil. I mean, a lot of examples I could talk about here, but just kind of quickly looking at something. Okay, market tried to go higher here, it couldn't. Now it's below the moving average. Now we're staying below the moving average, and we're really more in a bear trend. So choose any of these bear pars to try to get short below, and you try to do swing trades. And I mean, actually, so the longer the time frame, probably the easier it is to actually profit from it. If you see a trend happening on the longer time frame, then like that trend is going to tend to continue to happen over days, weeks. So that's a very strong bias for you to have. So I think trading like that's underrated. So if you think about like the spectrum of time frames and the difficulty, let me try to draw it in. All right, let's see how this goes. Time, and then this is actually better than my actual handwriting. Okay, so we have time and difficulty. So the longer time frame, longer in your trade, and then difficulty. So here, if we're talking about like 1 second, that's what like the computers are trading. They're super quick. There's like no edge. The difficulty is really high. You're up here. Okay, then 5-minute chart is probably quite a bit easier. 5 minute. The curve probably looks something like this. And then when you go way out here and you're looking at like 20 years, like that's what people, when someone has a job and they have their 401k or they invest that money from the job, then they look up 20 years later or 50 years later, and it's they're way up. They have 10 times more than what they were initially contributing. So that's a rough idea of the difficulty scale. So yeah, I mean, holding something for several weeks, like looking at these different futures and just trying to identify a trend, and then following that trend. Then the futures gives you leverage, so you kind of have lower difficulty, but then you also have the leverage with it. So like what I'll do sometimes, like what I was doing down here, um, when the VIX got above 35, I bought like a micro E mini, and I don't know, I think it happened pretty quick. I think it was basically out in a couple days. Um, but like instead of buying like the SPY, the ETF, you could buy like a micro E mini or whatever suits your position. So you're getting the same. The underlying moves the same, but it's leveraged. So your potential for profit is much greater. Than just buying and trying to hold for a few weeks. Um, there could be, and I've made videos about this in the past, explaining all the math and everything. Um, but yeah, like if you buy like a futures contract and hold, you're the underlying is doing the same thing, but it's leveraged. So so the S&P goes up on average 7 or 8% a year. But if you're doing a futures and it's like 5 times or 50 times leverage, then you're going to get that return 5 times or 50 times. Now, I mean, of course, you can see it on the downside as well, which is where your position sizing management needs to come in. But in general, I think trading like this, like buying for several weeks on a future, then I think that's underrated. I think there's a lot of potential for people to do that. So this is a friend of mine. He's a trader. We'll see if he wants to join the stream today. So would not have been stopped out yet if someone did buy there. Yo, Jack, you there?
What's up, brother? Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, you sound good. Um,
Man,
cool. Yeah, well, so I'm just on stream on YouTube a little bit here.
pull up YouTube right now. Yeah, I'm waking up late today, getting my life back in order from coming back from Seattle.
Yeah, I bet. So are you in Vegas now?
Yeah, I am
Yeah, different.
back at home.
Yeah, that's kind
Let's
of.
see
I've
here.
always wondered about people that live on like the west, like the West Coast, about waking up to like
Oh,
do their trading.
dude, I'm up usually I'm up my time locally, like 5 a.m., 5:30 to like get started, get coffee and like try and wake myself up. So, yeah, sucks.
Yeah, I've always thought like maybe like Central Time is like the best because like you kind of get your day done early, but like you're not up so early too.
Right. Hey, real quick, what's your YouTube
Um, yeah, I'll send you. It's what's like
person? Send me a link.
go to the video upload section there on the Discord, and it'll have the links there.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha,
I think
gotcha,
my
gotcha,
YouTube
gotcha.
is called Big Guy Trades, but like when you search Big Guy Trade, I don't think it like pops up.
Okay. I see your oh wait. Okay, I gotcha, I gotcha.
Oh, you got it.
Cool. Yeah, I'm in on your live stream now.
Nice. Yeah, well, there'll normally be like two or three people kind of hanging out. I haven't really done it much this summer.
Love it.
So what
Yeah,
kind
I
of stuff
still
do you like trading?
basically I've been trading a lot in some lithium stuff, some oil stuff. Um, let's see what else. Uh, made a good trade on smart sand the other day, some fracking sand. Um, let's see. What else have I been trading on lately? That's really the main things that I've been kind of sticking to lately is all that. It's all been pretty news driven. I've been staying around stuff like New Fortress Energy, Piedmont Lithium, Oil States International, Cleveland Cliffs,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Yeah, so you like all
Um,
you like the action. You like you like the movement.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, here's
So
Smart Sand.
lately, lately I've been trying to cut my like well, actually, that I'm describing it the wrong way. I'm extending my duration, and I'm trying to kind of hold on to things a little bit longer than usual, and taking on a little bit of overnight risk for extending some of the stuff. But so far it's been working out. Kind of sticking with like more of a swing mentality lately. Especially with all the travel that I've been doing, it's been hard for me to sit and like day trade and scalp really hard.
Okay. Yeah, no, that I mean that makes sense, especially if you're traveling. Actually, just before we got on, we were talking about I did this little drawing. Um, I was trying to show that like so here's your duration, your time, and then here's like the difficulty. So I was trying to show like if you're trading like a 1 second chart, like that'd be like super difficult.
Right.
But if you have like a 20-year time horizon, then like it's actually pretty easy. So
Right.
that's so actually just before we got on, we were talking about like people should consider doing that more like the swing trade.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got into trading forever ago, day trading, and I day traded hard. And I mean, I'd prep the night before, I'd be looking at earning stuff, and like I still trade like that sometimes, but with, my life getting busy with all the racing stuff, it's gotten kind of hard. But and that was the grind that I used to do Monday through Friday was, I'd scalp everything, anything that I could make something off of. And then yeah, just real life kind of took over and I can't dedicate so many hours to just sitting behind the screen anymore.
I mean I see your what you post about the racing. That's that's great that that's what you like doing, and you can be outside like experiencing that.
Pretty cool, man. We got Laguna coming up here in 10 days, 9 days basically. I'll be leaving here. Oh wow, it's already the second. So
Yeah.
I'm back on the road on the 7th. So
So
I'm
is that
home for
another
five
race?
days and then yeah, we got two more races in Laguna, and then right after that we'll have about 2 or 3 weeks off, and then we go to Ohio. I'll be uh I'll be in mid Ohio, and I forget what part of Ohio I'm gonna be in. I think it's kind of central. I forget which part. And then that's actually the last round that my buddy is racing in. This class that he's racing in is kind of a short season for him this year. Let's see here. Oh, funny enough, so Mid Ohio is right outside Lexington, Ohio. How hilarious is
Oh,
that?
right. Yeah. So the races is
Um,
it so these are on the on I mean I guess you call them I don't know bikes or motorcycles.
yeah, so we're the class that he's racing right now. It's called the Super Hooligans with Moto America. So it's Yamahas, Triumph 675s, Harley Davidson Pan Americas, um, KTM's are in it. Keanu Reeves, he's got a company called Arch Motorcycles, and he's got a bike in there that's
Okay.
competing, which is cool because I got to meet Keanu Reeves down at Daytona. I saw him this past weekend. I mean, he's a cool guy, but um, his bike is struggling, and Super Hooligans struggling bad. But what else? Yeah, so I think there's five different OEMs in this class. There's something like 40 participants. Um, so it's a pretty big class, a lot of different bikes, a lot of different OEMs, pretty open rule set, and yeah, it's definitely entertaining racing for sure.
So what kind of track is it? Is it like a paved or dirt?
All paved, all road racing, so all on slicks. The weight restriction, I believe. Oh, so yeah, they just changed the minimum weight for our class. The bikes have to weigh 450 pounds. Previously, they had to weigh 420 pounds. And um, there were some people that complained that the Pan Americas were a little bit too fast. So they had to have the Pan Americas add some weight. It's bullshit in my opinion. It's pure bullshit in my opinion because it's so opposite to racing, adding weight onto something.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's definitely fun. It's pretty cool. Lots of lots of stress at times for sure, though.
Yeah, that's kind of outside of my expertise is the like the bikes and racing.
It's fun, man. If you ever end up coming out to Vegas, I have to show you some stuff. I got all my friends out here. They work for these driving schools and riding schools, and like one of the big things in Vegas is like you might have seen it advertised, like you can come here and drive like Lamborghinis and Ferraris on the track and like Porsche GT3 RSs. Well, a lot of my friends, when they're not racing motorcycles, what they do for a day job and like to keep them busy is they instruct at a lot of those driving courses.
Okay.
So if you ever wanted to come out here and go spin some laps in a Ferrari or like a Lamborghini and go learn how to like drive one flat out on a track, like it's what all my friends do. So it definitely get you hooked up with something like that. You'd spend the whole day driving a Porsche around a track. You'd love it.
No, yeah, I would love that. I mean, if I yeah, definitely if I make a trip out there, then I will. I can assure you, I'd be I'd be doing that. I'd definitely take you up on that.
It's fun stuff, man.
So yeah, what I trade, I mean, I mostly just kind of pay attention to the E mini and
Gotcha.
just kind of
Yeah,
try
I
to
was just gonna
take
ask what you're on here.
just kind of look at like the 5 minute chart. Maybe I'll pull up like the 2000 tick chart and uh, I just kind of look for like 5 point scalps and I might do is like 0 to 3 or like 0 to like 5 trades like a day.
Nice.
Um, I don't know this whole like with it's to me it's a clear difference between like when Trump is president and when he's not. Because when he is president, you
100%.
know, it's like completely news driven. It's like volatile. Um, and I
I
prefer like a
I
boring
struggled.
market.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I definitely struggled over the past couple of years, and then under the first Trump administration, definitely did really good. Um, Felt like under the first Trump administration, you could basically throw anything at the wall, and it would do good with some time. Um, Definitely tried to get positioned really good for the next administration. Obviously, they're working on that tax bill, and I guess they're still discussing that. We'll see how that kind of plays out, but yeah, definitely a different market from what we had not too long ago.
Yeah. So I've kind of been relying on this um, this drop in volatility that you get during the summer. I've kind of been relying on that
Right.
to like
Everybody's doing stuff.
I've been relying on that to like get back to like to normalcy. Um,
Right.
I'm very particular. I want my bars to be like a certain size, and very particular about all that. And when you get like 2 months or 3 months in a row of just like these like crazy looking like back in like uh, November or like in like April, like when you get several months in a row where it's like not really your optimal type of like environment, then it gets old.
Oh yeah. Stagnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been pretty happy lately. Like I said, I made some moves over the past 3 months into some of the oil stuff, lithium. Um, I made a heavy play for a lot of oil players in the Gulf because they did lease sales. That was in June, so leased out a bunch of land for drilling. So I snapped up things like Transocean and stuff like that, and that's all played out pretty nicely. That's a good
Okay.
good
Good.
swing play right there. I think Transocean is up 2.4 today. Standard Lithium 9.6 today. Piedmont Lithium or Piedmont yeah, Piedmont Lithium's 13% today. Fortress is up 5.3 today. So
Oh yeah, I see. I have the chart up. I see the that big spike today.
yeah, happy with those for sure. Been kind of sitting on them for a little while.
Earlier, I was
Cleveland.
we were talking about different stocks like it's like Micron earlier. Like
Oh,
um,
dude, Micron. I'm so burnt with Micron, bro. I had Micron at like $40 a share like 2 years ago.
yeah,
I sold it because it pissed me off and they weren't doing anything. Now look at them. That
right.
chart is just, yeah, I'm infuriated with them. Dude, I owned them so long ago for nothing. And they just, yeah, before it did all of that,
You were somewhere right around here, holding it.
yeah, right in there. It did nothing for me. I think I watched the sale. Like it was just a break even for me. I think I held it for like a year and a half. Did absolutely nothing. Right after I sold it, it absolutely explodes. I'm like, yep,
They were watching your trades.
exactly. Like, oh, he sold. Cool.
Yeah.
Now let's turn this whole ship around. But I have owned the one company that I have owned since 2015 though is Nvidia. I've
Oh,
had a
that's
pretty
good.
significant stake in Nvidia since, yeah. So I've been absolutely over the moon with them because I've had a good position in there since about the end of 2015. And all the crypto stuff came in, all the mining and everything. They split, I think, once or twice in there. So yeah, it was been happy with them.
Oh, that's huge. I owned it since 2015.
That's a big one, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
that's what it looks like there.
that's
So,
one of my big ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's life changing there. Even if you didn't have
Yeah, it's
much
a
in it,
big
it's
one.
still like whatever it's life changing. Whatever small
Oh
amount, if
yeah,
it was a small amount, even if it was a small amount, like it's gonna be a big deal.
exponential. Yeah, yeah. I think all up in the hundreds of percent on the return. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's been a good one for me. I've trimmed it like every year. I've trimmed it pretty consistently, and it just keeps running.
So what goes into your decision? Let's say you do buy something like Nvidia or Micron, and you're holding it for months or years. Like what goes into your decision to get rid of it?
Um, Basically, I'm making my trims off of portfolio weighting. So once my Nvidia position just gets really, really big, and it got to the point where it was really getting heavy in the portfolio, and then I still have some ETFs that are chip-based ETFs. I also own Taiwan Semiconductor and like Intel and stuff like that. So my chip exposure was pretty heavy.
Okay.
Um, so I usually at that point, I'll kind of go through there and I'll look to see what I want to cut out a little bit and kind of take off the table. And NVIDIA has been one that I've consistently cut just because it's ran so much. And I'm happy to take some off the table, and you don't get it till you clear it. So
Yeah.
um, so I think like I said, I think I've trimmed NVIDIA since I've owned it maybe 4 or 5 times in total, and trimmed it back down to I think I'll have to let me pull it up and look. Let me see. My weighting in that account, or my weighting on that position in one of my main accounts, the one that's had it since 2015, it's like 4% of my account. Oh, it's still a pretty heavy position there. I mean, I'm happy with it. I think one of the biggest things for me, especially for holding things, I kind of think Warren Buffett said it, is if you don't understand the business. I think number one rule for me is I got to understand the business if I'm going to hold it for a long time.
Mm.
I understand the video business, so that makes sense for me. I can check that box, and that's the first thing for sure. Then balance sheet, then looking at competitors, seeing what competitors are doing, seeing what they have in the pipeline. I also then take a look at like the board and see who's running it, where did they come from, and stuff like that. And honestly, dude, the rise of AI and just how much power you have in AI and what you can figure out there in a matter of minutes. I I sit here and I'll flip on AI into voice mode and just rattle things off and start asking questions. And when I'm looking into stuff, okay, let's see what I can figure out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of. I mean, I mean, even from when you said you were getting into it real seriously a while ago, like it's everything's kind of completely different even from then.
Oh God, even from then, dude, when I first got into it, I I wouldn't do any. I never used AI when I first got into trading to like discuss my trades and figure out a company and have it do some calculations. You can literally put anything in there and have it done for you. So, I definitely came up from old school technical analysis and charting and, plotting M&A lines, and it's very, very valuable. I still do it that way. But it's changed for me significantly. I mean, I used to spend my nights going through a screener and just charting things out, looking for patterns. And that's how I would spend my nights. And now it's like I look through the news and I'm rattling stuff off to AI. And it's like my way of like finding action has definitely changed.
Mm. What are you? Are you talking Are you talking to ChatGPT or like some other program?
I use Grok.
Okay.
Um, that's the one I've been using. The main reason I've been using that one is because I had to get my username on X because my sister-in-law and my brother are very big influencers with like 5 million on TikTok and like
Oh
2
wow.
million on Instagram. And the downside to that is my usernames have my name, Jack Girk, has been snapped up on like every other platform out there by just, fake accounts that just want the username,
Mm-hmm.
holding my username hostage, basically. So that's kind of the downside to that. And I don't even know where I was going with that.
You know, I was meaning to ask you where the you have the so Ollie can glide. Where is the Ollie come from?
So when I played baseball back in Kentucky, I made the state team twice. We sucked. My division that we were in, the state team was terrible, but I made state twice, and through all of that, I got the nickname Oil Can because of the way that I wore my hat. There was a pitcher back in
Mm,
the day that wore his hat really, really like vertical on his head. He wore it like straight up,
yeah,
and I was an outfielder, and that's how I wore my hat. Is I wore it really straight up because for fly balls and everything, I want to be able to see when my head goes back. I want to be able to see everything up in the air. So I would always wear my hat really high, and everybody called me Oil Can because of that picture. And so when I started my social media, I was like, I need a name for this, and I was like, I want to use Oil Can, like that was like my nickname, but it just Oil Can Glide sounded weird. So I was like, well, I'll move the I and the L and make it a little different. It's Olican. And so I came up with that, and then it stuck. And now everybody knows me as Olican Glide. And go to places and people say Olican, and it's like it just kind of stuck. So I was like, all right, well, guess we're going with that.
gotcha. Yeah, I hadn't talked to you in a few years, and then I saw that, and I was like, well, I have no clue where where that was.
Right. It's actually a good story that I should tell for my social media. I've told it on my story a few times, but
Yeah,
that
maybe we
goes
could
away.
pin it at somewhere near the top.
Yeah, yeah, I could do something like that. Yeah, going through all the pictures and the video from the ridge, getting everything ready. We'll have a YouTube video coming out probably Thursday.
You care if I share your YouTube here?
Go for it, brother. Absolutely.
What do I look up? Ollie can glide.
It'll be fast, don't crash is our YouTube. It used to be under All Can Glide, but now our YouTube is a partnership with Travis and for our brand. So now it's called Be Fast, Don't Crash, which is our brand. Well, it's good to see you for another video. We made it
Yes,
to
there you
Las
are.
Vegas Motor Speedway with Champ School, Red
Yes,
Rock Harley
sir.
Davidson, and the Wyman Brothers.
That's
Come
all of our
check this out.
stuff. And then, yeah, all can glide on Instagram. But yeah, that's us.
Nice. I think the only time I've been on a motorcycle was I was in Guatemala, and they had like an Uber option for like a motorcycle,
Nice.
and I had a lot of fun. I mean, just kind of being on it. It was kind of fun, like weaving between like the cars, and um, it was definitely something I would do again.
So what's pretty cool is if you end up coming to the Moto America stuff, if there's I can get you out to one of these races one of these days. They do on day one after race one. There's a sponsored segment by Suzuki and Dunlop and whatever it's for the sponsors. But what it is it's a two-up ride on the track with a professional racer. So they grab some of the professional guys. They take a Suzuki that has a rear seat on it and rear set of controls or pegs where you can put your feet and everything. And they'll take you around on the track at basically like 60% race pace, not full race pace. They tune it back just a little
Hmm.
bit because there's two people on the bike and there's another person on the bike, but they'll take you around for a couple laps on the track at damn near race pace, and you'll get to feel what it's like being leaned over at 45 degrees, a lean angle, and coming into a turn on the brakes and everything. It's pretty cool. Everybody that does it has an amazing time with it. They're like, "Oh my god, that's crazy!" So that's something that's pretty cool. I think it's like $200 or $300. You can sign up and do it. They put you in a suit. They give you a helmet. They give you gloves and everything, and then you jump on the back of the bike and hang on for dear life.
What? Yeah. So what kind of speeds do these bikes go in a race?
So the super bikes, they're hitting speeds of 180, 200 miles an hour, depending on the track. my buddy at Daytona on his Pan America, the Super Hooligan Pan America, in the banks. Flat out sixth gear, he was hitting 176 miles an hour was his trap speed. And put that in perspective, so on the Super Hooligan bike, there's no windscreen, no fairing, no body work, no nothing. Super bikes, they have a little bit of fairings and a little bit of windscreens to kind of break some of that force that's coming into the rider. But on the Super Hooligans, there's none of that. So you're doing 176 miles an hour with all that wind force going
Mm.
straight to your face, to the chest. You're just literally gripping and ripping as hard as you can. Pretty nuts.
Do they? I assume like they have like goggles on.
Oh yeah, full helmets and everything, full wind with tear offs, and you're in an air suit like the airbag that I wear. It's a Tech Air airbag. It goes from basically my jawline to my ankles.
Mm.
Full air suit. So if it detects a G load, it automatically deploys, pumps up the suit and everything. It feels like you're in a big bucket of marshmallow fluff when the suit goes off. So better than uh, better than not going that way. Those suits are miracle makers for sure. These guys are crashing at 20, 30 G's. Just this past weekend, there's a crash that happened. Um, I forget who it was. His elbow hit the ground, and the suit registered a 27 G impact in the elbow.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and he was fine. He was okay. He was able to get up, got back on a new bike that they rolled out, and kept riding. Put a new suit on, and here
So
we go. 27 G's into the elbow.
so if it wasn't for that like inflatable, then
Oh yeah, he'd be in surgery. He'd be blown up in pieces.
gosh.
It's it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of adrenaline, but when it goes wrong, you can really get yourself hurt.
Do you know an Oscar Carboni in Vegas?
I do not.
Um, he's just like a trader on YouTube. I've just followed him. I mean, for like 10 or 15 years now, and
Okay.
um, so he's just one of like the three people that like I've kind of followed, and it turned out he was in Vegas.
It's funny because I know there's a decent amount of traders here, full time traders that live here. I know Vegas gets a good number of them. I was gonna ask. I know you're streaming right now, but I was gonna ask about somebody from our childhood that is here. I don't know if you gave a shit of whether or not if I put the name out, but
Yeah,
you
yeah, you
remember
can say whatever.
Amelia? Yeah. I was gonna ask. Yeah, if you were friends with her, if you talked with her, whatever. She came out. I'll tell you, she came out here a couple of years ago. She reached out to me out of nowhere and was like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah." So crazy story about Amelia. Her dad, when I shattered my arm as a little kid, her dad worked with my dad in the hospitals.
Mm.
And when they took me to the hospital, her dad was the one who received me and called my dad saying, "Hey, your son is here with a shattered arm." And my dad showed up, but her dad was the one who set my arm and first looked at me when I went into the hospital, which is just funny.
Okay, no, I mean I no, I
Um,
didn't know.
Yeah, yeah. So like my dad knew Amelia's dad really well. They worked together. Anyway, she reached out to me out of the blue, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm in Vegas," and I was like, "Oh, no way! Like, what are you here for?" And she's like, "Well, I live here now," and I was like, "What?"
Oh,
I was like, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm like a nanny for somebody." And so like I have a place, but like I'm a live-in nanny, and like I take care of their kids and whatever. I was like, oh damn. I was like, all right, good for you. So I met up with her like once or twice and met her at the bar and everything, and it was cool. Then we haven't talked ever since then.
And that's definitely like a small world type thing. Like her ending up in
Right?
Vegas.
I know, and that's what I said. I was like, "What in the hell? How did you end up out here?" Like,
Yeah, I think we're friends on Instagram. I haven't talked to her in 15 years or like whatever.
yeah, yeah, I haven't. I met up with her a couple times, and we kind of caught up on things. And she's still friends with, basically everybody that like we know, and
Yeah,
a lot of the people that I know from there and everything. And yeah, I mean, it was cool. Definitely, we didn't get along on a lot of stuff. So I was like, okay, we're not going to be friends. It's crazy. I still talk to Henry. I still talk to George. Like every week, I still talk to those guys.
nice. Yeah, I'll talk to
Yep.
George every once in a while. I remember
I
that was
was I
fun
was actually
doing
just at.
the airsoft, going out to.
Oh, dude, so much fun. I think that like the childhood that we had, and like I don't know, man. I see how kids were raised out here in Vegas, and like how it was for like our childhood and my childhood back in Kentucky, and it's like so different, so
Yeah,
different. Vegas is cool, no doubt, but I don't think I would want to raise kids here and like have a family here. I'd want to do that somewhere else. But Vegas is a really cool place to live, and like always to have a house here, like a, a place to live here, and also somewhere else. Like that's the way to do it, man. Cool place to live.
how's the like the housing market been in Vegas?
Expensive. Lately over the past like 3, 4, ever since about COVID, COVID really broke the housing market out here because everybody came to Vegas. Before COVID, we had less than 1 million residents, and after COVID, about 2 years, let's say COVID's like 2 years, whatever, 2 years, um, we went from less than 1 million residents to over 2 million full-time residents.
Hmm.
So, the city expanded so fast. They started putting up homes and apartments and condos everywhere. And yeah, the downside to that was all the houses, all the properties, everything went through the roof because we got a lot of people from California.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and they did a study, and it was like 65% of all of our new residents came from California. So,
Huh.
the people that have been in Vegas for more than 10 years, and especially the ones that have been here for more than like 20 years, are not thrilled. Um, the people that have been here for a very long time, not thrilled with the way that it went. All these Californians came in, they brought in all this money, and they it's not working, but they started trying to make it a little California out here.
Yeah.
And the people who have been here for a very long time pushed back on that really, really hard. Like, no, 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 no. And it was pretty evident because they've been trying really hard to take Hollywood and move it to Vegas, and Mark Wahlberg has been pushing really hard to do that. Well, it failed again. About 2 weeks ago, they put it up for vote, and it failed. They don't want the movie theaters here, and a lot of the locals don't want them here either.
It's interesting. I know like the fear over the last few years has been with like this exodus from California, and
Right.
there's so many of them, they kind of like change like whatever like the state. Um, yeah, I know it's been kind of a thought. So you have kind
Yeah.
of seen that in Vegas.
Yeah, it's definitely, what they say, like a purple city,
Oh yeah.
or purple area for sure. Nevada's very conservative. Everywhere else, it's pretty much a red state. Vegas is blue. Reno is blue, technically. Um, so definitely we see that, and I mean, I kind of subscribe to the belief, like that saying of the best place to live is a blue city inside of a red state.
Hmm.
And like I kind of believe in that, like Austin's kind of cool. That's another example of like a blue city in a red state that those are cool places to live, not gonna lie. But the downside of all that is, yeah, I mean, we had a lot of people that came in that are fundamentally trying to change parts of the state and like how the state works. A lot of people don't understand that we don't have state income tax because of gambling. Because of the casinos, we don't pay any state income tax. So
Oh, I see.
tourism and attracting people, that is very much in our purview. We need tourists. We live and breathe this whole city. Vegas exists because of the strip, 100%. If there was no strip here, there would be no Vegas. It's just flat out. No casinos, none of that, no bars, whatever. Vegas wouldn't exist. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a interesting city because of that. Now, they tried really hard to bring in those movie studios with Wahlberg and everything, and I guess that got shot down. They were asking for something like $1.5 billion dollars in tax credits and incentives, basically, and the state said, "Yeah, no, we're not going to do that." So,
I didn't know they were
um,
like doing that vote. I hadn't heard of that.
yeah, so they've been trying well, Mark Wahlberg has been trying for a couple years to move the studios out of Hollywood just because of all the issues that are going on in LA and the issues that are going on in Hollywood. And there's been a mass exodus from there, obviously, over the past few years. And he's been trying really hard to bring that here. Now, I will say, if those industries come here, and I obviously being in photo and film and content creation, I know a lot of people in that world that would significantly benefit from having those studios here. Um, the other side of that coin, though, what I will say is if in some alternate parallel reality it does happen where majority like Sony Studios, one of the biggest players in Hollywood, gets removed from Hollywood and comes to Vegas, it will cause the collapse of Hollywood. If Sony pulls out of there, it's LA, in my opinion, will turn into like Detroit 2.0. If they lose their movie industry out of Hollywood, they got nothing left.
Hmm.
There was I think it was New York Post or maybe Washington Post not too long ago that there was an op-ed piece in there where the person writing about it basically said the same thing, where LA loses its movie industry or a significant portion of it, it's going to turn into Detroit 2.0.
Well, yeah, I guess in some ways it kind of is in a way, but
Yeah, it kind of already is. I was out there about a year ago and I was in the arts district and I stayed there a few nights, and it's definitely a ghost town in a lot of areas. And it used to be like a lively, pop-in place to be, and now it's just not like that anymore.
be interesting to see what Trump gets done over the next. He's still got 2.5 years or 3.5 years. Three and a half
Yeah,
years. Yeah.
three and a half, something like that. Yeah, I mean, definitely made big promises coming into everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if they come to fruition. I would definitely, obviously, in our arena, we're interested in all the economic things. Promised a lot of, so what I'm really focused on.
I think I'm gonna do. I've been on since 9:30. I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. And I'm really glad I finally got to sit down and talk with you for a little bit.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Um, so yeah, thanks for joining the Discord and everything. And um, yeah, nice talking to you. We'll talk some more on some stuff.
Absolutely. It was good to catch up with you, man. And yeah, looking forward to doing some trading and we'll keep the conversation going.
Cool. All right, I'll see you.
All right, man.
All right, and to whoever might still be in the stream, thank you guys for watching. That was my longtime friend there, Jack. So I'm glad we got to talk to him some. He's a trader as well. Been doing it for a long time. So yeah. So thank you guys for watching, and plan on seeing you tomorrow as well.